Cameron, and welcome back to my channel where we sip tea and also spill the tea as I talk about some of my favorite reads. So today I am so beyond thrilled because I'm going to be bringing you some of my favorite paranormal romance books of all time. These books that I'm going to be mentioning to you are literally the best of the best, by which I mean that they have the most amazing, freaking heart-pounding romance, and they also have the best paranormal supernatural qualities ever just added on to the mix. So without further ado, let's get into this video because you know what? I'm so excited to talk about this, and yeah, let's do this, okay? So the first book that I'm going to be mentioning to you guys is one that I actually just read about 2 weeks ago, and it was literally amazing, and that is Rejected by Jamin Eve. This is the first book, and I actually have the second book, which is called Reclaimed by, you guessed it, Jamin Eve. So, you guys, this book series was so surprising to me. Whenever I first started to read this, I just got it because I was looking for a quick, fun, paranormal romance book. You know, this is by an indie author, and whenever I think of indie books, I just think of fun, fast reads, and so I decided to check this book series out. I saw that it was trending on Goodreads, and whenever I read it, I was so freaking flabbergasted because this book series is freaking amazing. I was just expecting it to be something fun. The series was so much more than fun. This was amazing and incredible. The romance is freaking well done. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you what this is about, okay? So this follows a girl who is a wolf shifter, so she's like a werewolf of sorts, right? And her father, whenever she was younger, her father tried to murder the alpha. Things didn't go as planned, and her father ended up getting killed out of retribution, and that in turn made this girl and her mother outcasts in their pack because, you know, this girl's father tried to kill the alpha. So of course, nobody really likes her or her mother, but since they are a part of the pack, they couldn't just kick them out, so they still get to live with the pack, but nobody likes her or her mom. And so now our girl is older. She's about to turn 22, and this is a really big age in the wolf pack because whenever you turn 22, that is whenever you can go and finally shift into a werewolf for the first time. And so our girl shifts with the pack for the first time, and she ends up finding out that her true mate, who is like a soulmate of sorts, is the alpha's son Torn. And whenever Torn finds out, obviously he doesn't like her because her father tried to kill his father. Old news now. And so instead of accepting her as his true mate, he rejects her, and our girl is upset about this. She's angry and she just wants to get out of there, so she ends up requesting and praying to their god of sorts, who's the god of shifters, and he's known as the shadow beast. She ends up praying to him, asking him to get her out of this situation, and then guess who shows up to the pack? It is a shadow beast. And so the shadow beast comes and he causes a big ruckus to occur, and he kidnaps our girl and takes her away to his home. And guys, it's here that this ends up being kind of like a Beauty and a Beast type of retelling. This book isn't categorized as a Beauty and a Beast retelling, but this freaking reminded me of it so much because whenever our girl is living with the shadow beast, he's so grumpy and moody and just freaking rude, and she does not want to be there. She's happy that she got out of the situation that she was in, but she does not want to be in this other situation with the shadow beast. And so they are just living reluctantly together, and it's here that they end up starting to have a romance, and it's a freaking amazing romance, and it's definitely an enemies to lovers. And then while this is going on, there's a lot of other things going on as well, because our girl here, she isn't just a plain old everyday shifter. She is something else entirely. and the Shadow Beast and her are trying to figure out what the heck is going on, who is she, and so yeah, you guys, this book was so amazing. Now, I do have to say that the romance, you know, it's like thrown in here in the first book, Rejected. Like, there's like a dash of romance in this, but it isn't until the second book that the romance is freaking just amazing and awesome, and it just explodes in this book. So this is definitely a slow burn romance, so do keep that in mind. The romance and the sparks isn't going to happen right away, but it is definitely worth the wait. Guys, I also have to say, you're not going to like the Shadow Beast right away. He's definitely like the Beast of Beauty and the Beast. You're not gonna like him. You're not even gonna want to read the scenes that he's in, but as you keep on reading about him, slowly but surely you'll start to see the awesome aspects of the Shadow Beast until his awesomeness is freaking revealed in the second book. And then guys, my favorite thing about this book, my favorite absolute thing about this book is our main girl. She is so funny. Her dialogue, man, her dialogue is freaking hilarious. It's out of this world. She's just so sassy and feisty and free-spirited. Everything that she says is just so witty. She reminds me so much of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But you know how Buffy's always having like a back and forth dialogue with the vampires that she's trying to slay and all the other supernatural creatures? Well, this is our girl. She's literally like Buffy. So guys, if you want a book that freaking delivers all of the supernatural ruckuses that we all like, that we all love, and we all enjoy, if you like werewolves, if you like fairies and freaking sexy bad boys and feisty heroines, then definitely check this series out. It is so freaking wonderful, and the next and final book is about to come out in March, I believe. I'm so excited to get my hands on that copy. It is absolutely amazing. So guys, that is Rejected and Reclaimed by Miss Jamin Eve. Ooh, check this book series out, you guys. I swear you will not regret it. Okay. So now we're going to be going into our second recommendation of the day, and that is Stormborn by the one, the only, Miss Rochelle Mead. So if this author's name is familiar to you, then that is because this author is the woman who wrote the Vampire Academy series and the Bloodlines series. So if you like any of those books, I would definitely recommend you to give this book a try because it is so freaking amazing. And now let me tell you what this book is about, okay? This follows a 27-year-old woman named Eugenie Markham, who is a shaman for hire, and she gets hired by different people who are dealing with supernatural encounters in their homes, and she basically gets hired to banish errant spirits. She is like the Ghostbuster. She's the person that you call to get rid of all of the things that go bump in the night, and that especially go bump in people's homes. So our girl, she is just doing her thing. She's living her life. But things take a huge freaking turn whenever supernatural creatures start trying to basically seduce her and have sex with her, and she has no idea what's going on. And it isn't until she ends up getting taken to the Fey world that she finds out that there is a type of prophecy that basically claims that our girl Eugenie Markham is meant to become pregnant, and her baby that she delivers to this world is basically prophesized to be the child that ends human life and is like the destroyer of worlds. And apparently having a child that is meant to be the destroyer of worlds, that is something that is really attractive to these supernatural creatures, because all these supernatural creatures are lining up at the door to try to get their hands on Eugenie Markham so that they can be known as the man who sired the, as aforementioned, destroyer of worlds. Apparently that's like something really cool to be able to talk to your buddies at poker night or something. So our girl, she's facing a problem, and it's here that she ends up meeting two very, very sexy men. One named Kai, I believe he's a wolf shifter, and then another man named Dorian, and he is a fae king of the Autumn Court, I believe. I could be wrong, you guys. I probably am wrong because it's been a while since I've read this book. But you guys, it says here that there ends up being like a love triangle that goes on as these two men are just trying to help her out as she is just dealing with the circumstances that comes with being the woman who is meant to bear the child that's supposed to end all life, like, forever. So, you guys, I just have to say, this series is so freaking good. If you know Rochelle Mead, you know that she writes the most fabulous characters. She writes the best settings, the best plots, and especially the most delicious male characters ever. So if you want a book that is sexy, that is fabulous, and that is just freaking gets better with every single book, then definitely check this book out. I cannot recommend it enough, you guys. It is so freaking good. And what I loved the most about this book was I loved watching Eugenie Markham grow, as with each book she starts to become more powerful and more strong and tough, and it's just so admirable to be able to watch her as she deals with everything that is coming her way. And she really is just such an overall amazing character and such a strong female heroine. I definitely just fell head over heels in love with her because, guys, she's literally like the coolest female action character ever. I love her, and I especially love my man Dorian. Mwah. He is like the star of all of my romantic dreams. I love him. So yeah, guys, that is Stormborn by Rochelle Mead. Yes. Okay, read it. Do it. So, the third book that I'm going to be bringing to you guys is Halfway to the Grave, which is a Night Huntress novel, and that is by Miss Janine Frost. So you guys, if you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, then look no further, because this is the book for you. You guys, this follows a girl named Kat, and she is somebody who, she is half vampire and half human, and she does not like her vampire side at all. So our girl, Kat, she ends up going to bars and trying to hunt down and murder as many vampires as possible, and it's while she is on one of these missions to murder said vampires that she ends up meeting a vampire bounty hunter named Bones. He ends up being somebody who she's trying to kill, but Bones, he is very, very tough, and he's also very, very smart, and he ends up finding out like halfway in what this girl's trying to do. So he turns the tables and he ends up kidnapping our girl Kat, and it's here that he finds out that she is a half vampire, half human, and this is something that is unheard of in the vampire world. So he figures that she would be a good partner in crime to help him lure unsuspecting vampire men who he is trying to hunt down for his bounties. So they end up having a unlikely alliance, and it's here that they end up having a very, very unlikely romance. And you guys, just have to say, if you liked Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, then you will freaking love Bones, because you guys, it is without question that Janine Frost is 100% a Buffy the Vampire Slayer lover and fan, because Bones has so many similarities with Spike. Our man Bones, he's a very bad boy. In this book series, he's definitely not the hero. He's a anti-hero of sorts, just like how Spike is, and Bones is also British, just like how Spike was. Bones has freaking platinum blonde hair, just like Spike does. So you guys, if you like Spike, then you will love Bones, because Bones is literally like the embodiment of Spike. And if you just need something to tide you over after watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and falling in love with Spike, then definitely check this book out, because if you love Spike, then you will fall head over heels for our bad boy vampire Bones. So guys, I just absolutely loved this series. It is just so freaking addictive. After I read this book, I had to read the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one after that, and there are so many books in this series to keep you occupied for the freaking rest of your life. So if you like vampires, if you like freaking sexy bad boys, if you like freaking awesome women, and if you just like a epic romance, then check this book out, because it delivers it all. So that's Halfway to the Grave by Janine Frost. The next book that I'm going to be bringing to you is Dark House by Karina Halley. So if you watch my channel, then you will not go far without seeing me mention the one and the only Dark House, because this book is literally one of my favorite books of all time. I have talked about this book so many freaking times on my channel. In fact, if you were to have a drinking game and you wanted to take a shot every time I mention Dark House in all of my freaking previous videos, then you will be drunk and probably in the hospital with alcohol poisoning by the time you have taken all the shots after you heard me say Dark House, because I talk about this book a lot, and it is for a good freaking reason, because this book is phenomenal, you guys. And the romance in this, oh my gosh, it is one of my favorite romances that I've ever read, because it's just the biggest slow burn ever. My goodness, there's such a back and forth between our characters, and there's just such a strong freaking chemistry between them. It is freaking amazing. The sparks are just off the charts. So let me tell you what this is about, okay? This book follows a girl named Perry who she likes to take a walk on the wild side. And so one day, whenever she goes to visit one of her family members, she ends up walking into this lighthouse, which just so happens to be on her family member's property. And as she is venturing into this lighthouse, she ends up running into a man named Dex Foray, and he is somebody who he's actually trying to make a career out of being a filmmaker, and he wants to try to start a film series where he films different places that are known to be haunted. And this lighthouse just so happens to be one of the sites that are known to have a lot of paranormal activity. And so whenever Dex meets our girl named Perry, he decides that she is the one who is meant to star as the host of the paranormal investigative series that he wants to start. And so after he talks to Perry and asks her to be the host, she decides, like, what the heck, I have nothing else to do, this sounds like a good job opportunity. So she decides to take him up on that offer, and she ends up being the host of a ghost hunting series as Dex is the filmmaker. And so it is here that with every book they end up getting called to a new paranormal haunted site. And guys, with each book that is written, it just starts to get more scary and more frightening. And you guys, by the middle of this series, I literally could not go to sleep. I was actually thinking about getting a freaking nightlight because I could not go to bed at night. I was so freaking scared. And you guys, with each book, the romance that starts to develop between our two main characters, it just gets so much better every single time. So if you like to be scared out of your mind, but you also like to read a book that is just seeping with romantic chemistry, then definitely check this book out. And in the synopsis, our author Karina Halley, she loves to compare this book series to that of the X-Files and to Supernatural. So if you like either of those TV shows, then you will love this book, because those two TV shows definitely inspired the author to write Dark House. You guys, this is probably the scariest book I've ever read, and I would recommend this to anyone that just wants to have a good time. And yeah, So this is Dark House by Karina Halley. Okay guys, so the next book on my list just so happens to be a YA book, and it is the only YA book on this list, but it is definitely one of the most amazing books that I've ever read, and that is Bloodlines by Miss Rochelle Mead. So you guys, I'm somebody who I usually always gravitate to the new adult paranormal romance genre, and that is because I just like the type of romances where the author does not hold back whatsoever. There is no fade to black scenes. It is there and you get to explore the whole romance and all of its glory. So I was surprised to happen to love this book as much as I did, but you guys, the author did such an amazing job with this romance. It is literally one of my favorite romances that I've ever read. It was just done so freaking well. It is so incredible. In this book, the romance in this series rivals all of the other new adult series that are on this list, because it is just one of the most amazing slow burn romances that I've ever read. And it is just so freaking believable and so beautiful. So you guys, let me tell you what this book is about, okay? So this follows a girl named Sydney Sage. She's an alchemist. And alchemists are basically a group of humans that come together to try to hide the existence of vampires who are living in the world. And so our girl, Sydney Sage, she ends up getting hired to protect and hide a vampire princess who is on the run and who is hiding from other vampires who are trying to murder her. So in order to hide the vampire princess, she ends up moving with the vampire to California, where the vampire is pretending to be a student at a high school, and Sage, in order to be able to be involved in the vampire's life and to stay close at her side, she ends up pretending to be a student at the school as well. And she also ends up meeting another vampire named Adrian Ivashkov, and he is somebody who he has a very close tie to the vampire princess, and so he came along on this mission to try to protect her and to just be with her because he has such a strong bond with this girl. So as Sydney Sage is trying to hide and protect this girl, she ends up having a very strong friendship with Adrian, which as the series goes along, that friendship ends up turning into a romance. And you guys, this is definitely a forbidden romance, because in this series, a relationship between a vampire and a human is seen as being something that's very, very taboo. And it's also a very big deal to the alchemists, because the alchemists, while they protect and hide the vampires, they do not like them at all. They think of them as these heinous creatures of the night, and they only help them so that they can keep them from hurting people. So you guys, if you like a book that definitely has a forbidden romance and has strong friendships as well, then definitely check this book out, because I loved the bonds and the friendships that our main girl Sydney starts to have with all of the vampires that she meets and all of the other humans that she meets as she attends this high school. And another thing that I loved about this book was that Sydney herself, she is somebody who at the very beginning, she has so much prejudice against the vampires because she has been raised with the alchemists for so long, these men and women who hate vampires. It's just so amazing to watch the journey that she goes on as she starts to see these vampires as not just monsters but as people as well. And it was so amazing to be able to see that side of things. And another thing that I absolutely love about this series is just the humanness of every single character. The people in this book series, they do not seem like they are fictional. They seem 100% real, like they could walk off the page and live their own life. It is freaking incredible how good of a job Miss Rochelle Mead did at giving all of these men and women and all these different characters such layers. And you guys, I just have to say one more thing, and it is just the best thing that I could say to end this discussion on this book, and that is two words: Adrian Ivashkov. and Adrian Ivashkov, he happens to be the love interest, and Adrian Ivashkov is literally one of the hottest and just funniest male characters who I've ever had the privilege of reading about. He is somebody who he is so in touch with his emotions. He is so incredibly soft towards Sydney, and I just love the romance and the relationship that they built together, because they just honestly had such a gorgeous relationship, because they both had things that they need to work on, and whenever they got together, they just lifted each other up and they helped each other grow. And that is just such an amazing thing to read about, because it was just awesome. You could truly see how well they were for each other, and that they were just freaking soulmates. They were meant for each other, and I just love this book. I love this book series so much. I've read this so many freaking times, and guys, just read it. Please read it. It is such a good series. And yeah, that is Bloodlines by Miss Rochelle Mead. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is called A City in Embers by Miss Stacey Marie Brown. So this book follows a girl named Zoe who is a part of a secret society which hunts down Fae so that they can try to use the Fae's blood and DNA to try to create cures for different illnesses and diseases that the humans face on Earth. And so in this story, there ends up being a huge freaky lightning storm, and during this lightning storm, our girl Zoe ends up getting the powers of another Fae whose name is Riker, and his power is to be able to teleport from place to place. And since Zoe got Riker's powers, this causes the secret society that she's a part of to turn against her and to try to hunt her down, because they want to study her DNA and figure out everything that's going on. So our girl Zoe, she is now on the run from the secret society, and it's here that she ends up teaming up with Riker, because obviously our man Riker, he wants his powers back. So he ends up helping her along the way to get away and to escape from the secret society. And while they are on the run, he's trying to figure out how he can get his powers back. So you guys, this book series is so freaking amazing. I loved the relationship that was built between Riker and Zoe, because this is definitely not a instant romance. And what's actually really funny is that Riker and Zoe, they do not like each other at first. They absolutely hate one another. They do not want to be in each other's presence, but they have to deal with each other because unfortunately they need each other to survive everything that's going on. Riker needs his powers back, and Zoe just needs help to get away from the crazy people that are hunting her down. And you guys, it was just so much fun to be able to watch them go from reluctant allies to friends to freaking lovers, and it's just amazing. I loved it. And then I loved the action as well. You guys, if you want an action-packed book, then definitely look no further, because literally with every page there was something crazy going on, and just throughout the whole book they are always on the run. And another thing that I loved about this book was that our girl Zoe ends up getting a little sidekick who is a fairy as well. He is just so cute and so adorable, and he literally lit up the pages as I was reading about him. He's just the cutest little sidekick I've ever read. So yeah, guys, if you want a book that delivers with the action and also delivers with the best slow burn enemies to lovers type of romance, then definitely read this book. It is amazing, and it's just the type of series where after you finish the first book, you have to immediately get your hands on the second book, because you guys, it is just so freaking addictive. It is amazing. So definitely check that book out. Okay, so you guys, there is one more book that I want to mention to you, and it is definitely one of my favorite books in this video, and that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So just like Dark House by Karina Halley, I have talked about this book so many times, but you guys, it is just so amazing, and I just need everybody who watches my videos to give this book a chance and to read it because it is so freaking amazing. This author freaking rivals Sarah J. Maas's books, and everybody knows how amazing Sarah J. Maas's books are. She's freaking incredible. She's a great author, but you guys, Jennifer L. Armentrout rivals that so much. This book is like a freaking delectable ice cream sundae. It has everything. It has the ice cream, it has the whipped cream, it has the caramel sauce, the chocolate sauce, and it definitely has the freaking cherry on top, which just so happens to be the best romance freaking ever in the whole history of books. You guys, let me tell you what this book is about for those of you who happen to be living under a rock and have not heard about this series yet. So let me tell you, you guys. So this book follows a girl named Poppy, and she is somebody who she's known as the Maiden. And in this world, the Maiden is somebody who they are seen as this godly, beautiful type of woman who is just completely honored and respected in this world. And so because she's a maiden, she is somebody who she has to be completely covered. Nobody can talk to her, nobody can look at her, nobody can touch her, because everybody is scared that if they talk to her or look at her or touch her, they will somehow take away her maidenhood and taint this type of grace and this type of honor that she has by being the maiden. And so our girl Poppy, she's just living a very, very unfulfilled life. She's bored out of her mind because she's not allowed to do anything, and it's here that she ends up meeting a man named Hawk, who has just been promoted to be her new guardsman. And as they meet each other and become friends, it is here that they start to develop feelings for each other and have a romance. And guys, in this world, because she's the maiden, this is definitely a forbidden type of relationship that they are not supposed to be having. So this book is just so good. I feel like I am not doing this book justice in explaining just how amazing this is, but guys, I also loved Poppy. You could truly see her growth with each book. It's so satisfying to see her as she goes from this inexperienced and naive maiden to a freaking amazing and strong female protagonist. I love her storyline. It is just amazing. So you guys, that is from Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And if you read any book in this list, then definitely read this one. So you guys, if you have made it to the end of this video, then please make sure to like and subscribe, because I post new videos every week, and I would love to be able to welcome you to my little corner of BookTube, where we talk about amazing books, and we also fangirl over the sexiest book boyfriends in the book community. So you guys, I love you so much, and I cannot wait to see you next week. So yeah, mwah, bye.